Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 8:37 now. Our Friday morning extravaganza continues unabated as we cover the effects of the shutdown here on day 38 and going into the weekend, what things might look like with the air traffic problems that we're all anticipating. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Patrice Onwuka. Morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday, Larry.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's welcome in Chuck Thies, D.C. political analyst, friend of the program. A lot going on in D.C. First, apparently, it's a First Amendment right to assault a police officer in Washington if you get the right jury pool. This is why people in the rest of the country don't take us seriously when they say, when people say they want to be a state. It's like, if you can't convict somebody for throwing a Subway sandwich at a cop and then evading arrest and claim that it's a First Amendment protest, Chuck, seriously, this is a joke.
It is a joke, Larry, and good morning to you and Patrice.
Morning.
Look, I can't even imagine throwing anything, whether it was a sandwich or, anything soft, a plush toy, whatever, at a law enforcement official. No, really, I can't, because it's just something you would teach a child not to do this. You would literally teach a child not to throw things at other children, let alone a law enforcement official. And one of the things that seems to be lost on this jury is that the perpetrator of this literally said when he was arrested, "I did it to draw them away from where they were." Okay, I did this to draw them away from where they were. In other words, I interfered with a law enforcement operation. That was my purpose. And again, no one was hurt, and it was a stupid thing, but you need to send a message to people. And that's a simple message. Let law enforcement do their job. Even if you disagree with what they're doing, let them do their jobs. And if you disagree, you have recourse. If you're a witness, if you're the subject of the law enforcement action, there's all kinds of recourse that you have. But don't get involved with what they're doing. And should this person be in jail? No. Should this person have been fined and made an example of? Absolutely. But you made the point at the top of the show. Excuse me, Larry. It's the jury. This is jury nullification. Classic case of jury nullification, because siding with the Justice Department on this would be siding with the president, and this jury pool is selected from a city where 90% of the people didn't vote for Donald Trump.
It's unfortunate that's what we have, although I would argue we have a much safer city. And I would think that Muriel Bowser, as the mayor, would agree that the city is much safer. She's in the headlines again for a couple of different reasons. We'll probably spend more time on the latter, but just want to get your perspective on her running. You tweeted here or posted on X, at the risk of repeating myself, if you believe that Mayor Bowser is not seeking re-election, please think again. So is it safe to say that she's running for re-election and she's running as a Democratic Socialist?
Well, no, she's not running as a Democratic Socialist. She's definitely a moderate on the scale of where the Democratic Party is today. I believed with certainty up until late last night that she would seek re-election. And all signs are that she's seeking re-election. A little bit of a staff shakeup. She's appearing in more community and political events locally in D.C. And then the tweet congratulating Mamdani. Bowser's weak flank in politics is the left. The far left, the wackos, don't like her at all. They want to get rid of her. And so a shout out to Mamdani is smart politics, because you're congratulating him, and maybe that will placate some of the less wacky people on the left.
But will that open the door for those in the district council or other political groups that have influence in Washington, D.C. to press Mayor Bowser and say, oh, you like Zohran Mamdani, do you? Well, how about some free buses here in Washington?
Well, we had a free bus, and it was failed. They shut it down.
Right.
So maybe free buses aren't a good Maybe free buses aren't a good idea. We had a free streetcar. They're shutting that down. So maybe free stuff isn't really affordable. Imagine
by
that.
the way, how many tens of millions of dollars did that free streetcar cost? And not to mention tearing up the street, putting in those tracks and the power lines forever.
It's a nightmare because of it.
Right, but they're replacing it with an electrified mobile people mover, which I think is called a bus.
Yeah. Oh,
that's newfangled. Meanwhile, Muriel Bowser has some other troubles here. There's a New York Times article suggesting that there's an anonymous leak suggests that she is being investigated over that trip to the Middle East. That was Dubai. That was paid for by the government of Qatar. They lied about it multiple times when challenged, and then finally they were forced to reveal that Qatar paid for it. Is this a violation of ethics or even bribery laws here, or do they have to look for a quid pro quo to make that case?
Well, yes, they have to find a quid pro quo if there's a bribery. Obviously, if someone gave her a gift, an illegal gift or an unreported gift, and she did something or one of her staff did something in return, that's bribery. That's a slam dunk case. I'm not sure this is bribery. I'm not saying that it isn't. Most of everything is unknown at this point. What we do know is that when a journalist first asked Bowser, her administration, how the trip was paid for, she said the local Chamber of Commerce paid for it. Local Chamber of Commerce said, no, we didn't. Then she said the U.S. Conference of Mayors paid for it. Well, the U.S. Conference of Mayors said, no, we didn't. Finally, the government of Qatar apparently paid for it, but there were no records. The Bowser administration had to email them and say, hey, can you come up with some records about this money that you spent for us? So that kind of stinks. That kind of stinks. What's weird about this is that the New York Times reports that basically their source was an FBI agent who has since been fired, and he was leading, or she, I'm not sure, this person was leading the investigation, okay? And this person has since been fired. Now Axios is reporting that a White House official says there's no investigation about Muriel Bowser. She's not the target of any investigation. She may have been mentioned in an investigation, but she's not the target. But something doesn't add up here. Yeah. Why would a disgruntled FBI investigator want to finger Muriel Bowser? It makes no sense. So I'm not sure, and I don't think anyone is sure what's going on here. But what we do know is that this trip happened, and the financing of it was covered up. So there's probably something to look at. Is it a crime? Is it an ethical lapse? Is it a bookkeeping error? I don't know. But this idea that somehow a disgruntled FBI agent concocted all of this is absurd.
Curiouser and curiouser. Real fast, Chuck, is Muriel Bowser going to face any sort of significant opposition in the Democrat primary?
Well, okay, if this scandal isn't a scandal, then there's really not a lot of traction for someone running against her, and the only person who has suggested thus far that she's running against her is a far-left council member who is actually left of Mamdani. So I just don't see that person gaining traction. Yes, also an avowed Democratic socialist, which is really just a socialist. And it's a socialist who lives in America. That's all. So I don't really see her getting a real challenge. The caveat there being, is this a real scandal? If it's a real scandal, plenty of politicians in D.C. have fallen in the wake of a scandal. So it remains to be seen. But I still think she's running, and I still think she's in a very strong position.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Mayor Chuck Thies.
Well, here's the problem. If you don't want the job, you're not going to be good at it. So.
Oh, sure. Yeah. All right. I guess that's Chuck. A fair point. Thanks, Chuck. Always good to talk to you.
You guys have a great weekend.
8:45.